What is up, MSM? It is great to see you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam. And we've got a couple things to talk about this morning right at the top of our time together, and it's this. First off, we've got our YouVersion Bible reading plan still available for you to join. You can do that by clicking the link below or going to our Instagram and clicking the link in our Instagram bio. It's our No Matter What reading plan. It is not too late to jump in. I know we've been having some great discussion in the comment section on our YouVersion reading plan entitled No Matter What. So if you haven't gotten the chance to join yet, go click that link. I know you'll enjoy it. Next up is it's a pretty big announcement. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty big announcement, and it's something that we can all do together. So I'm going to need a drum roll. I know it's a virtual drum roll, but maybe do the drum emoji or just do the on your desk or something like that, because in 3, 2, 1, I've got a huge announcement, and it's this. We are going to be able this summer to go to Rock and Water. That's right. We're going to be able to head to Rock and Water. Camp signups are up and available for you right now in the link in our bio on Instagram and the link below. If you want to go to the website, you can, and it's not that way. It's this way, right? You can register for summer camp at cpc.org/events. I'm so excited to be able to go to Rock and Water with y'all. Some of your leaders are going to be coming as well, and we are going to have an absolutely fantastic time. We get to sleep outside underneath the stars. We're going to do water rafting. We're going to do canyoneering, and we're just going to have an awesome time. I can't wait to get out there with y'all. I'm sure you have a ton of questions, so feel free to ask me, ask your leaders about camp questions. Here's the dates for summer camp, though. It's going to be July 23rd, or actually it's this way, July 23rd through the 26th. And again, you can register at cpc.org/events or click the link in the comments or our bio. Now, here's the thing. Not only do we have summer camp coming up, but we also have life groups coming up this Tuesday, so you're not going to want to miss out on those. Life groups are on 7:15 online. You can still join a life group online. I know we have a ton of fun last Tuesday with our online group. I think we had about 20 or so in there hanging out with us. And then last Tuesday night live, we had about 10 of y'all come out and hang out with us, and it was a ton of fun. Shout out to Nikhil for coming in and hanging out with us. Shout out to Trevor and Savannah for showing up, and Yasmin. What up? It was good to see you out there on in-person life groups. We had a ton of fun. But we can't wait to do life groups again this Tuesday. This Tuesday, though, get this, get ready. It's Riot Night. It's Riot Night, and we've got some special stuff planned for you, be that in person or online. Again, if you want to register for in-person groups, if you haven't yet, you can go to our link in our bio and register that way, or you can send me an email or just comment down below, hey, I need that link, and I can get it to you right now. But as of right now, y'all, we're about to get into our message, so sit back, relax, straighten up, get your phone or your tablet or whatever you're watching it on, get it in a position to where you can see it, and get ready for today's message. We are in our series called No Matter What. Well, what is up, CPC MSM? It is great to see you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam, and we are in week 3 of our series called No Matter What. And no matter what, today we are going to talk about how we should respond when we fail. What do we do when we fail? Now, if you've never failed, you can go ahead, stop watching this video right now. If you've never messed up, stop watching the video. But for those of you who have messed up, for those of you who have failed, for those of you who have sinned, which literally means to fall short of the mark that you were aiming for, to miss the target, this message is for us today. This message is for you and for me, because we need to, as children of God, in the family of God, figure out how to respond when we fail. I wish someone would have told me how to do the things that we're about to talk about today, because there are 3 things that we can do when we fail to help us bounce back from it. I wish someone would have let me know about these things when I was younger. It would have saved me so much time. It would have saved me so much guilt, so much shame, so much depression, so much anger. It would have saved me all of that. So get ready. We're going to talk about what to do when we fail. But first, we got to get all on the same page. How many of y'all have ever failed before? Right? At something, you didn't study for a test and you failed it. Why? Because you didn't study. Some of y'all are like, "Oh, I didn't study for the test and I still passed it." Congratulations. Teach me your ways. But maybe you said something you knew you shouldn't say, and it hurt the other person. Maybe you didn't say something that you knew you should have said. Maybe your parents asked you to do something and you just, doesn't matter, right? It flew right out your mind. You don't care about it at all. Your coach told you to do something. Your teacher told you to do something and you disregarded it. You said, "I know what's right and I'm doing what's wrong." Maybe you know what God wanted you to do and you said, "Forget it. I'm doing what I think is right." We do this all the time. This does not make you unique. This does not make me unique. This makes us all human and in need of Jesus. So today we're going to look at what to do when we how to bounce back when we fail. What to do when we fail. We're going to look at 3 ways that Peter would instruct us to respond when we fail. We're going to look at the story of Peter today because he has one of the biggest failures. Notice I didn't say he is one of the biggest failures. I said he has one of the biggest failures in biblical history. In all the world, he has one of probably, if I were to categorize it, probably one of the top 10, maybe top 5 failures in the Bible. So here's the story of Peter in a nutshell. Peter is best friends with Jesus, or at least he's probably in the top 5, right? He's really good friends with Jesus. They would have hung out all the time, right? They would have had secret handshakes. They would have had funny emojis in their like contact pictures, right? They would, you know how like your friend and you have like a silly picture for your friend? It's not like the class picture. It's like a goofy one that you took together. It's like an inside joke. It would have been that close of a friendship, right? They would have hung out at the mall. They would have had each other's gamer tags. They were good friends. And as Jesus is being handed over, few hours before Jesus is being handed over to the Roman government and to the religious people to be killed, to be crucified, Peter looks at Jesus and says, "You know what? If something happens, I'm with you." How many of you have a friend that you're that close to? Like, if something were to ever happen, I'll be there for you. If you're going to be like up late tonight, worried about something, text me. If you're going to be in the middle of something, text me. If something's happening, let me know. I'll be there for you. That's what Peter was telling Jesus. And he said, I don't even care if it causes me to die. I'm that serious about our friendship. How many of y'all have a friend like that? Yeah, some of us do. We're that serious about our friendship. And Jesus understands Peter's heart. So he turns to Peter and says, "Actually, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows." And rooster crowing, it's simply Hebrew for iPhone alarm going off, right? Terrible dad joke, I understand. But what he meant by deny me is not say like, "I'm not going to let you have, the Pop-Tart, the last Pop-Tart." That's not what he's saying. What he meant is you're going to not acknowledge who I am to other people. How devastating is that from our friends? If we walk up to a group of friends, and they don't acknowledge us, that's devastating, right? Walk into a group of people and they just act like we don't exist. It's terrifying. Level 10 terrifying. Level 10 devastating, right? So that's what happens. Jesus gets handed over to the religious people in the Roman government to go and be crucified. And Peter says to 3 different groups of people 3 different times, "I don't know who he is. I don't even know the guy." Because he was afraid that he was going to get the same treatment as Jesus. Pause. We have a tendency, you and I, as people, that when we look at biblical characters, we kind of romanticize our story. We kind of think if we were there, we would have done a lot better. If I was Peter, I went to deny Jesus because I was champion of the Bible study group. I know more about the Bible than anybody, so if I was there, things would have went down different. I'm pretty good, and I understand the difference between good and evil. You know, I read Genesis, or I at least was awake during that message. I understand what's right and wrong. If I was Peter, things would have went down differently. I would have turned Jesus into a liar because I wouldn't have denied him. Here's the thing. That's not true. If you and I were in Peter's shoes, we probably would have done the same exact thing. And how do I know this? Because we do that all the time. We do it all the time. We know what we should do, and we do the exact opposite. And and our lives aren't even on the line. It's like our comfort on the line, right? It's not even life and death scenarios that we're totally dipping on our responsibility. It's not even life and death scenarios that we're completely dipping on our friends. It's not even life and death scenarios when we're dipping on what Jesus tells us to do. So I know things would have probably went similar if you and I were in Peter's shoes, myself included. Now, I don't say that to make you feel bad. I say that so that we understand and can identify with what Peter is about to do. Because we're talking about how to bounce back from failure. We got to understand Peter messed up big time, just like you and I do every single day. So here's the story, right? We're with Peter. He just denied Jesus 3 times. And as soon as he hears that rooster crow, right? That Hebrew alarm clock, Peter starts to weep. Why? He knows he messed up. He knows he messed up. At that exact moment, he understands, wow, Jesus told me that I was going to do this. And he knows how badly he messed up. So what does Peter do? Well, he probably dries the tears after a while, gets back up, and the Bible says he goes back to fishing, which is symbolic for he goes back to what he used to do. Remember, Jesus said, go into all the world, make disciples. I give you all the power in heaven and earth. Like that big speech. Right. Peter went back to fishing along with John. Again, don't make fun of them. Don't look down on them. Because how many times do you and I, after we mess up, we go right back to the way things used to be. I'm going to eat right. We go right back to the way things used to be. I'm never going to say that again. We do. We go right back to the way things used to be. I'm never going to struggle with that again. This time, it's going to be different. Then we do it. We go right back. I'm never going to lash out at my parents ever again. Then they make us mad, and we do it again. Some of y'all, it even goes a layer deeper, right? I understand we've got some real pain sometimes. Some of us, maybe we thought, you know what? I'm never going to engage in self-harm ever again. Never going to do that ever again. And then we do. And so we go right back to it. Some of us, we struggled with an eating disorder. And we say, I'm never going to struggle with that again. And then we do. We mess up again. And instead of running to Jesus, we run away. We say, you know what? I've messed it up. I might as well stay in my mess. Listen, Jesus wants more for us than staying in our mess. And if you're out there and you're struggling with something like that, go to one of your leaders. Go to somebody that can help. Let somebody know. Let one of your life group leaders know. Let one of your parents know. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to shame you. We're not going to blame you. We're going to get you some help because God has better for you than struggling with stuff like that. We got to bounce back. God wants more for us, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. He's not here to shame you. He's not here to blame you. He's here to help you. So, little side note. Peter messed up. He goes back to fishing. He goes back to the way things used to be. Him and John are out on the boat. They're just fishing, right? There's nothing sinful about fishing. It's the way they're fishing. Unless you want to say there's something sinful about fishing. We can debate. So he goes back to fishing. And we pick up in John chapter 21, verses 7 through 9. Here's where we're going to read. It says, Then the disciple Jesus loved said to Peter. Now, whenever the Bible says the disciple that Jesus loved, they're talking about John, which is always John writing it. It's kind of prideful, but it's in the Bible. I'll let you be the judge. It's kind of funny. It'd be like saying, Sam, the disciple that Jesus loved, and me referencing me. It's kind of funny. So the disciple that Jesus loved said to Peter, "It's the Lord." Now, if you just done messed up like Peter did, you should probably be afraid, right? You should probably be afraid. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he did what? He ran in the opposite direction because he just said that Jesus didn't exist or that he didn't know Jesus. What did he do? He went and said, okay, gosh, I got to hide. Like, is there something large that I can fit myself behind? No, Bible doesn't tell us that he did that. Instead, it says that he jumped into the water and headed to shore. He jumped into the water and headed to shore. Why? He had just denied Jesus. He had just said that Jesus and him weren't even friends. They didn't even know each other. I don't think that's the person that I want to see. How many of y'all have ever messed up a friendship and you're like, that's the last person I want to see? How many of y'all have ever dipped on an assignment before? You just didn't do it and you're like, I don't want to see that teacher today. I feel a little sick. Like, I don't want to see that teacher. Nah, that's not what Peter does. That's not what he does. I'd be curious. Why do you think Peter jumps in the water? It says he jumped in the water and headed to shore. The others stayed with the boat and pulled the loaded net into shore, for they were only about 100 yards from the shore. They were 100 yards away. Imagine you being on the boat, kayaking underneath the Golden Gate, and like you see Jesus at Baker Beach, and you're like, whoa, that's Jesus. You'd probably be paddling over, right? They're paddling over as well. But Peter was so intent. Peter was so hype about getting to the shore and about talking to Jesus. He didn't care. He didn't care if his friends thought he was crazy. He didn't care if his clothes got wet. He wanted to see Jesus. He had to make things right. He had to. He couldn't wait to see Jesus one more minute. Why? Here's why. It says in verse 9, when they got there, they found breakfast waiting for them. Fish cooking over a charcoal fire and some bread. Y'all, this is wild. Jesus knows Peter's there. Jesus knows he's going to have an interaction with Peter. And what does he do? He cooks Peter breakfast. Let me tell you something. You don't cook breakfast for the people that you hate. You don't share your last Pop-Tart with a class enemy. You don't do that to somebody. You don't say, oh, here's my, egg salad sandwich, enemy. No, you're not making food for people that you hate. So this is the Bible's way of telling us, hey, listen, Jesus was not standing on the shore waiting for Peter with a stick to beat him. He was not waiting on the shore so that when Peter got there, he had his arms crossed and a whole list of things that Peter did wrong. Jesus wasn't waiting there like an angry coach or a disappointed parent. Jesus wasn't waiting there with a club in his hand to say, all right, Peter, you know what you did. And Peter jumps out of the boat, swims to shore because he knew Jesus. He knew Jesus. He knew that when we mess up, he knew that when he made a mistake, the very person he should be going to is Jesus, not the person you should be running from. So what does Peter do? How does Peter bounce back from his failure? Well, first, he acknowledges it. It says in the Bible that he wept bitterly. In other words, big, ugly, snot-filled, sobbing tears, like that ugly cry that you do when your team loses on Sunday, right? Like if the Warriors lost the championship, that type of crying. Like if your best friend told you that your shirt was ugly, right? Like you kind of keep it together and then you're like, like you start to ugly cry. Peter did that. He acknowledged it. He swam to shore, and I guarantee his first words weren't, Jesus, it wasn't my fault. He swam to shore, and I guarantee he went, this is my bad. This one's on me. His tears aren't because he wishes things went differently. He wept because he knew what he did was wrong. let me zone in here just for a second. I don't want to say this, but if I don't say this, I don't love you, and I love you. So here we go. Some of us, all of us, myself included, when we make a mistake, when we sin, when we mess up, when we know that God says to do this, but we do the exact opposite, we try to blame shift. And it's destructive for multiple reasons. But here's why. Because we don't get the reward on the other end that says, hey, I did it, that was my fault. We miss out on the reward. And when we blame shift, we say things like, you don't understand, I was having a bad day. We say things like, but that's not what I meant. You're just too uptight. We say things like, we don't understand, like, how your words affected me. Well, I was really tired that day. I was not having a good mood. I didn't eat. We make all sorts of wild excuses for the stuff that we did wrong. And that's going to produce nothing in us but anger. Let me tell you, it robs us of the reward that Jesus has for us on the other side. It robs us of growth. It robs us of a clean relationship with Jesus. It robs us of a good, healthy, how should I put this? It robs us of a relationship that's free from the things that are in between us, right? So if I offended you and I say, well, you don't understand because I was having a bad day. I know I shouldn't have said that to you, but like, you made me really mad. It totally glosses over and puts to the side what was actually done. But if I hurt you and I offended you and I said, listen, I'm sorry, I know what I said was wrong, there's no excuse for it. That's my fault. All of a sudden, that's a completely different dynamic. And there's an opportunity there for a relationship. And it treats you with honor. It's not trying to say that, I didn't really do that wrong. It's just a technicality. Some of us, we do this all the time. And it robs us of an opportunity of a great relationship with others. And it robs us of the opportunity of a great relationship with Jesus. I don't say that to beat you up. I don't say that to shame you or to blame you. I say that because I love you and I want you to get this reward from Jesus. I want you to grow. That's why I say that. So what does Peter do? He acknowledges it. Hey, that's my fault. I did it bad. Cries. He understands that God knows. He knew Jesus already told him that. So he can run towards Jesus at that point because he understands the character of Jesus. He understands Jesus isn't waiting there with a stick or a list of all the things that he did wrong. He's not waiting there to shame him or to blame him or to get upset with him or to tell him that he's not really mad. He's just disappointed in him. He's not waiting on the shore to do all that. He's waiting to say, okay, listen, I understand it. You get it. You messed up. And that actually happened between Jesus and Peter. Jesus asks Peter 3 times, do you love me? Which is like he's giving Peter an opportunity to make up for the times when he denied him. And Peter's like, yes, I love you. He said it 3 times. Yes, I love you. I love you. I love you. Each time, here's what Jesus answered back with. Here's the reward. Jesus said, then feed my sheep, which is Bible for go care for my people. Go care for my people. Go love my people. Go love the church. Jesus doesn't do that if he's mad at Peter. Jesus doesn't do that if he's still hurt by Peter. Jesus doesn't do that if he's still holding a grudge. What Jesus did is he rewarded Peter. Why? Because Peter said, I acknowledge it. I messed up. I understand that God already knew, and I'm running in the right direction. I don't care if I look like a fool with wet clothes. I don't care if my friends think I'm crazy because we would have gotten there anyway. I'm so invested in having a good relationship with you, Jesus. I don't care. And Jesus sees that and goes, then feed my sheep. And that's the reward I don't want us to miss out on by blame shifting. That's the reward I don't want us to miss out on by beating ourselves up and not letting ourselves off the hook. I wish someone would have told me this when I was working for Publix, which is a grocery store in Florida. I wish someone would have told me that. I lost a large sum of money. I mean, a large sum of money when I was working for Publix. It was about midway through my career there. You could call it a career. I worked there for about 7 years, and about 3 years into working there, I made a huge mistake. And if you want to know how much money I lost, come to Life Groups this Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I'll tell you all about it. And I'll tell you exactly how much money I lost. But it was a lot. And I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that I'd lost the money. Then my manager tells me, hey, you lost this money. And I was like, no, I don't think I did. And they were like, no, like you lost the money. And I was like, well, I don't think I did. I was not acknowledging my mistake. And they said, no, you did. We documented it. We're not mad at you, but we do have to discipline you. We have to write you up, which is retail for like, say you did something bad. And it hurt. It hurt because everyone found out about it, and I was sad about it, and I felt like I'd lost trust, which I did. And I wish someone would have been there to tell me, hey, listen, acknowledge it. Understand that God knows and run in the right direction. Because I lost 2 months of being able to hold my head up high. For 2 months, I let the ticker tape in my mind say things like, you'll always be a mess up. You'll always fail. You know what? This is why you should never be doing this. This is what's going to happen at your next job, too. I knew you couldn't do this. I don't know why you even tried to pretend like you could. Those were the thoughts that were playing in my mind for 2 months. Every time I would clock in, every time I would clock out and get on a register, I thought to myself, I wonder if I'm going to mess it up today. And I wasted time. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't understand that God knew. And I did not run in the right direction. And I lost 2 months of living in the freedom that God gave me. I lost the reward that God wanted to give me. For 2 months, I put it on hold. Nobody else did. It wasn't anybody else's fault. That was my fault. I wish someone would have told me, listen, acknowledge it. God already knows. Run in the right direction. Ask for forgiveness. And get up and go. Eventually, I made it to the point where I not only regained trust with the company, but I actually got promoted. It all could have gone much, much faster had I not hung my head. But that's so tempting for us, isn't it? It's so tempting to go back to fishing. It's so tempting to go back to the way we treated our brother and sister. It's so tempting once we talk harshly to our parents to keep going. It's so easy once we fall into a bad study pattern that we know we shouldn't have to just keep going with it. It's so easy not to eat. It's so easy to keep eating. It's so easy to keep self-harming once we start. It's easy to keep going in the wrong direction. That's why I'm so serious about us understanding. Listen, if we acknowledge it, God already knows. And he's not waiting on the shore to shame you, to blame you, to be angry at you, or to tell you how disappointed he is in you. He's waiting on the shore. He's got breakfast ready for you, and he's waiting to give you that reward on the other end of it and say, listen, we have a lifetime together. We have a legacy to build. I've got so much for you to do, and I can't wait to get started on it. So let's get started. Y'all, I wish I would have had somebody to tell me that those days. Thankfully, I did have someone tell me, and they told me, hey, listen, pick up your head. You've got stuff to do. And I'm glad they did. We're going to talk about this on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, online and in person. We're going to be in both spaces because we see equal value in online and in person. I would hope that you would consider coming out for an in-person gathering. If not, we will be there online for you at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. We're going to talk about how to practically apply these in life groups. Don't be afraid. We're not going to ask you to confess your deepest, darkest secrets. We're not going to ask you to tell us all of your secret sin. We're not going to do that. Life groups is a time for us to get together and to discuss, okay, how do we get through this? How do we practically apply these messages? We're going to have some fun too. We're going to be playing games. We're going to be doing all sorts of stuff. So come on out Tuesday nights. We're going to be talking through how to bounce back from failure. And I know it's going to be applicable to you because we've all messed up, myself included. So CPC, MSM, I'll see you there.
People come together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, His kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high and fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. Take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. As the walls come down, all creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Come on, you sing it, sweet wine. Oh, sweet wine, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Sweet wine, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All His children, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. And Jesus, in our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, a friend forever, His kingdom come. Amen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's our hope that this resource has helped you come to know and love Jesus, because our mission here at CPC is to make and mature more followers of Christ. If any part of today's service has blessed you, I would encourage you then to share it with a friend that you think needs it. Now, we know life is way too complex to live alone. That's why we do life groups every single Tuesday night. If you would like more information about how you can get involved with life groups, you can leave a comment or send us a direct message. But if you would be so bold as to join us on Tuesday nights for life groups, I promise you'll make lifelong friends that will not only push you to be the best that you can possibly be, but will also help you strengthen or discover your faith in Jesus. Remember, God didn't intend for you to do life alone because we're way, way better